Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Hunter Base podcast. What do Maverick Hunters do when they're not hunting Mavericks? They go back to the base, recharge, and shoot the shit. I'm your host of the most, Zeromaster, and this is episode 40. Can y'all believe it? I certainly can't believe it. And for this momentous episode, I have with me a fellow game reviewer and video game content creator, known for his reviews as well as stuff like Tark's Talks and waifu wear, sort of, kind of, because I think it's on hold right now. But anyways, it's Tark's Gauntlet.
Thank you. Happy to be here. Waifuware is currently on hold.
That's what I thought. Because I saw that video. I remember you did that video. I'm like, oh, man.
Yeah, someday. You never know what might happen.
So do you prefer to be called Tark, or should I call you something else?
Nah, Tark's is good.
Tark's is good? Okay. So for those of my audience who don't know who you are, maybe you want to give just like a brief summary of what you do and what you're about?
You mostly wrapped it up. I mostly just create video game content on YouTube, generally reviews around niche Japanese games most of the time, a lot of JRPGs, fan servicey stuff, but I don't know, whatever really kind of just floats my boat or catches my eye. Like recently it was a Disaster Report, which, It fills the Japanese category, but that's about it.
I really enjoyed that review, by the way. That's the thing about your content. For me, for Zero's Maverick Hunting, what I do for my main review show is I try to focus on stuff that's obscure, underappreciated, or unknown. And sometimes things don't always fall in that category, but I try to cover it anyways. But what I like with what you do is because you've got that specific niche gaming, there's a lot of stuff that a lot of the games that you cover are games that I picked up in the store and be like, this looks interesting, but I've never heard of it, so I'm just going to put this back for now.
Yeah, man, weird stuff just catches my eye. That's all there is to it.
And that's what's great, because it just gives me a repertoire of stuff that I'm like, oh yeah, I remember seeing this game or hearing about this game, but I never actually played it or saw anybody talk about it. And then, of course, usually one of your videos comes up at the time. So that's what I like about your content and stuff. And then I know that you started doing the more news related stuff with the Tark's Talks. Is that a new thing, or is it just I haven't noticed that it's been a new thing?
I want to say I've probably done it a few times since the channel started, but it became a regular thing maybe 6 months ago, around whenever the Sonic trailer first launched.
Yeah, okay, yeah. I remember because I did the podcast on that with somebody. Normally that wouldn't be enough for a podcast for me, as a topic, but I knew that there'd be a ton to talk about. And I think I noticed that's the first one I saw of yours. I think how I found your channel was one of the Senran Kagura videos you did.
Yeah, I think I've covered almost every North American released game at this point.
It's funny because that's a series, a friend of mine, Canadian Jutsu, and he's usually my podcast cohort. Him and I wanted to do a review on the first few games, but it never happened. We just have had different things going on. So that'll eventually come down the pipe. But I think that's how I found you, through one of the reviews. I'm trying to remember which one, because it was almost a year ago.
Yeah, when you say the first few Senran Kaguras, are you talking the DS ones, 3DS?
Well, sorry, I'm talking about the ones that started off on Vita.
Okay, Shinobi versus
Shinobi and Estebal versus were the two that we were looking at.
Thank God too, because the first couple, it has its fans, but boy, I'm not one of them.
I picked up the remaster of one of the 3DS one that when it came to PS4. Yeah, I think it's the 3DS one.
Burst 3
but I haven't opened it. Yeah, I haven't opened it yet. It's there. See, and I really liked Peach Beach Splash. That is just a ton of fun. It just sucks that the online is not very well optimized. Not in terms of servers, but in terms of actually setting up a match. So
yeah, dude, I think I got that game a day or two before it came out. And I done an unboxing for it, and it actually got a lot of views because copies weren't out there yet. And I didn't even know this. I didn't realize I got it early until somebody told me. But even within those first 1 or 2 days of the game first coming out, nobody was online. It took me, I think, like 20 minutes to fill a match.
I found out about it because it was the collector's edition was on sale for like it was close to launch. It was like $45.
I think that might have been the only version that they had at launch, and it wasn't a full priced game either. So it was a really good set.
Because I bought it, and then I'm like, oh, this would be a fun game to play. And then, of course, I found out some of my other friends also had it, so we did a few streams with it. But that's where I learned about the not so good match setting up. Like, that's the only thing about that game it might have changed now because I haven't played it in a while, but like I remember that game specifically had bad matchmaking. Like, if I wanted to play with friends, it was more of a hassle than anything else than just play with the randoms.
Yeah.
In that one.
Kind of like the old Dark Souls games when you can't just summon to a buddy's world.
Yeah.
I mean...
Yeah, exactly.
I didn't... Like, when you could get online, I didn't mind it too much, but the game was anything but balanced, right? Mm-hmm. Like, everything... It's so easy to make something so overpowered that it can kill anybody in, like, under a second. But I think in my review at some point, I'm like, throwing caution to the wind is just another way of balancing. If everybody's overpowered, then nobody is.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. I enjoyed my time with it.
So I know we're bouncing around a lot here, but I wanted to start off by asking, what got you started in wanting to make this kind of content, like reviews about niche stuff and talking about niche stuff on YouTube?
My very first review, I'm pretty sure, was Bloodborne. That's when I started the channel. Mm-hmm. And I kind of only started YouTube because I thought I could do it. As far as like the niche stuff goes, like I always played JRPGs and stuff like that, but I had found out that at some point I accumulated these, it was just 3 fan service games, Akiba Strip, Criminal Girls 1, and Senran Kagura Shinobi Versus. All 3 of them were in my collection, and I hadn't played any of them, so I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to do this thing for this 1 month where I just look at these 3 games, and it's just going to be like a little 3-episode series.
Little did you know.
Well, then they just kept coming out. Or maybe I was finally paying attention, but they were just there. Like, I knew they were always there, but it felt like there was more than there ever was before,
No, I hear you, yeah.
So it just didn't stop.
But yeah, Waifu is how I found you. So that's how I came across your stuff. And the thing that was interesting about that is because they're straight up reviews, and this is one of the things that's tough. Like, I'm with an affiliate with a group called River City Gamers. We're just a bunch of game reviewers that have been doing this forever. And we talk about different things and whatnot. But there's a certain section of this group of friends of mine who, if a game has any bit of like fan servicey stuff in it, they won't play it, even if it's a really good game. Yeah. And I'm like, come on, guys, it's a good game. Just because it has, mbop titties doesn't mean it's a bad game. But it's like, I get it. It's not their thing. But there's a lot of games that I'm like, you're missing out on a really good experience because it has titties.
Yeah, you want to hear something kind of sad? I got a comment, I think yesterday or the day before, on my Trails of Cold Steel 3 video, and somebody said that they weren't going to play it because so many of the women had large breasts.
That's hilarious.
It hurts, man. It just hurts.
No, I feel it because when it's funny because one of our members of that of the River City Gamers crew, Nightman39, is a big fan of Trails. Every chance he gets, he mentions it. I can't tell you how many times we've had a discussion of, all right, guys, what's our realistic pick for Smash? He'd be like, this character from Trails. I'm like, it's not going to happen.
Yeah, you said realistic.
I said realistic. But he's always the guy that makes the reference to that franchise. And he actually is doing a retrospective. I mean, he's done the first 2 games. He still hasn't finished his review of the 3rd game. So when I saw that video and saw that it was your most anticipated game of the year, I'm like, okay, so this guy is not only like a fan of all these other things, but he must be hardcore if this is his most anticipated game. Because I bought the first one on PS3, like the collector's box one, on a whim. I didn't know what it was, but it looked familiar. That's why I picked it up, and I played a little bit of it, but I haven't gotten super far into it. And now the PS4 version with the quick battling or whatever is out there, so I'm probably just going to end up getting that and playing it. But it's a series that I've wanted to hop into, and it's been interesting having access to people who know a lot about it. Was it? Let me just ask, I guess here. Let me get my words around. Was it? Did you know it was going to be a big video when you made it, or was it like, I just want to talk about this game. I'm not going to worry about it being, the best review ever.
Cold Steel 3, you mean?
Yeah.
I didn't know it was going to be 38 minutes. When I sat down and just started writing, and it didn't stop until I was at like, I don't know, 4,000, 5,000, 8,000 words or something. It was a big script, and I looked at it and I'm like, I don't really want to edit all this. Like, I really don't want to. I actually found a way to cut like 2 or 3 minutes out of the video before I put it up. As far as like views and engagement and stuff goes, I think it performed around where I thought it was going to, because the Trails videos, despite how niche they are, the fan base is really passionate. Like, they'll watch almost anything Trails related. And thank God, too. I want the word to get out there. I just wanted to play the game and talk about it. That's all I really wanted.
Yeah.
But so I didn't know it would be as big as it was, but it performed about how I thought. I don't know. It's complicated. It's always complicated.
Well, I guess maybe what I should say is I was more talking about the production side. Like, did you know it was going to be that big of a thing or for you? Because it's one of your longer videos, I'm pretty sure, unless I'm missing another review. That
I think it's the longest review. There's other reviews. I think Xenoblade Chronicles 2 is somewhere close by at like maybe 34 minutes or something. I don't know. It's tough because these games, like, there's always so much you can talk about, like the world and the characters. How's the progression? How's the pacing? And the combat, surprisingly, just keeps getting deeper and deeper. And like, I could go on about the whole series like romantically. It's actually hard to make the videos smaller for me. I feel I've seen other people do great reviews that are only like 10 to 12 minutes, and I'm like, I wish I was more like you.
It's so funny because the opposite, that's a problem that I have on the opposite. Like, going back to my folks in River City Gamers, like, it's average for them to make long videos. Like, just for example, my pal SCXCR, like, he's doing a retrospective. He's on a second retrospective. His first big one was on the Bloody Roar series, and now he's doing one on the Seiken Densetsu series. And and of course he had worked on the Seiken Densetsu 3 video well before into it getting announced for North America, like Trials of Mana. So he had to stop and redo a bunch of his video so that it would match up with some of the stuff. And that ended up being like, I think it was almost a 2-hour video on that one game.
Yeah,
so
that's insane.
I can't imagine doing that long. But I understand when you're passionate about something, it's easy to write or dig as deep as far as you can. Because, like, just for example, I'm a huge fan of Mega Man. So when I did my Mega Man 8 review, it's like a 24-minute review. Now, you probably don't need 24 minutes on just Mega Man 8, but like, I wanted to be thorough. I wanted to cover everything I possibly could for that game, because it's one of those games where, like, most people haven't played it. Most people know what Mega Man is, but most people don't play 8.
Yes.
That's like the one that's like, I don't know about that one.
7
Though
and 8.
now that it's more... And that's how I actually got started with doing my show Zero's Maverick Hunting. Is my first review was Mega Man 7, because when I did that video, that was like 2010. The main thing I would always hear is, "Oh, that one's bad," and now it's like, it's worth more than Earthbound. So, which I think is hilarious. But and it's just so funny how things changed over that period of time. Like a period of 10 years, now all of a sudden everybody's like, "Oh, it's actually pretty good." It's like, see, I'm not full of shit. But I like to be thorough with those games, even though it's just a dumb platformer. Like, I just like to be thorough with it because I'm very passionate about the topic. So I can see that. I saw that with your Cold Steel 3 video, that you were very passionate about it, and that's why it probably ended up being as long as it was. I'm surprised you had, it was supposed to be longer, that you had stuff to cut out of it.
I'm always looking for stuff to cut out of my videos. I don't know how people make their videos so short. Like, it's a skill that I maybe I used to have it and I lost it, but I don't have it now. that disaster report video turned out like 18 minutes. When I was playing the game and like sat down to script it, I thought, oh, this will be easy. This will be like a 10, maybe 11-minute video. I'm working on like Doom Eternal. I thought the same thing. It's just a first-person shooter. 10, 11 minutes. I'm pretty sure it's in the ballpark of like 22.
Yeah. I had this thing where I also had this other show that I did, and I think I'm still going to do it, called Quick Hunts, where it's supposed to be shorter game reviews, like just something quick, something I got a review copy of, whatever. But some of those episodes are close to being length of my regular episodes, and I have some of my regular show that are like short. Like I think I did a Mighty Number 9 beta video that was 11 minutes, and I'm like, that's getting close to my cutoff for a regular video. And now I have reviews that are like 6 minutes, so it's like, I don't know. I just use a structure of things that I want, and then if it needs to be expanded on, I expand on it as I go, kind of thing. So, but I can completely understand how you can take something that's like, oh, it's going to be like a 3-minute video. It turns out to be like 15, 20 minutes. Like, because once you get in the thick of it, it's like, well, I got to talk about this. I need to talk about this. I definitely got to mention that kind of stuff. So
yeah, and when all is said and done, there's, it's easy to see things that you also could have mentioned, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like that, now, your Mega Man 8 was, how long did you say that was? 20?
I think it's 24 minutes. I'm pretty sure I'd have to double check it.
And you can probably beat Mega Man 8 in like 3 hours, right?
It's not a long game.
No, most Mega Man games are like 2 to 5 hours.
The other thing, though, to keep in mind with that one is I was covering both versions of the game.
Okay.
Because my cousin, who's a crazier collector than I am, had the Saturn version. I'm like, I've been looking for this game for like 10 years. And I can't find it and when I do, it's too expensive. He's like, oh, you just want to borrow it? I'm like, yes, please.
Yeah, there's been times when I questioned what I was doing, because I think there's been times I've reviewed like really short games, and then I looked at like how long my review is. I'm like, you could beat the game in the time it would take to watch this review like 2 or 3 times. Like, do I really need to talk about it for that long?
Well, and that's the thing. I guess I appreciate about your videos is because. And this leads me on to another question. So I have no idea how, with a lot of these games that you cover being like RPGs or just like big adventure games, how you get the videos done. Because I like RPGs, I love them, but I rarely finish them. I'm like, unless it's like Pokemon or like something else that I'm like I have to play at every waking moment, I can't really finish them. Like, just like, I think I bought Suikoden, for example, a few years ago at Anime North for like a really good deal. It was like, I think it was like $45, which that game normally goes for like 80 plus. And I played 20 hours of it and I was really into it, but by the time I went back to it, I was like, I'm not really feeling it anymore. So I don't know how people do it with such long games.
So what I see happen a lot, and you can tell me if you do this too, but a lot of people tend to keep more than one game on the go at a time. And like, once something distracts them from the RPG, getting back into the RPG is very difficult.
Mm-hmm. No, you know what? That's part of it. Actually, Worst Offender was Last Story. I was really into it, but I took a break from it, and then I tried to play it again recently, and I'm like, I don't remember how to play this game.
No, and the Last Story is a super weird one, too. Like, there's no other RPG that quite plays like it.
Mm-hmm.
I'll be honest about that game. I did not like it for like the first 15 hours. Like, the story wasn't doing it. The mechanics weren't quite there. But as it went, and like by the end, I thought it was pretty darn good. Like one of the better RPGs on the Wii.
I made it to chapter 4, I think. I think it's chapter 4 that I made to, the one where you get on the pirate ship or something.
I do remember the pirate ship.
Yeah.
I don't remember the game being broken into chapters, though. It's been... when did the Last Story came out? Because it's been since then that I've played it.
It's been a while, yeah. But I remember I played it, and I was really into it, and then I was like, okay, well, I played too much of this right now. I need to take a break and play something else. And then by the time I went back to it, I was like, I don't know how to control this game, because it controls a very unique way, and
yeah,
I completely forgot. So I think that's the other problem too. It's like with it, like, except Pokemon, for some reason Pokemon's the one that I'm like, as soon as it comes out, I have to pound it all week to finish it. But like, even like games that I really enjoy, like this, some people judge me on this, but my favorite Final Fantasy is 10. And that one was a unique situation though, because I got stuck at a battle with Sin on the airship, and I saved on it, and you couldn't leave without doing the battle, and I was underleveled, and I only made one save file. That's how I taught myself to make multiple game saves, because that was a bummer. But there's just tons of games like that I'm like, I'm really into, but then I take a break from it because it's the games are too much at once, and I need that time away from it, or what it is. But I'm always just impressed with how you're able to take these games that are like 80 plus hours sometimes, and you have a video out in like no time.
Yeah.
After it.
Well, I only ever. Well, okay, so maybe I shouldn't say only ever. With very little exception, I try to play only one game at a time. There's been times I've gotten like early review codes, like Labyrinth of Refrain. I think I got that 2 weeks early, which in my mind gave me like 10 days to beat it, 4 days to get the review out. I put 88 hours into that game in the run of like 7 days.
Jesus.
Like, thankfully, at the time, I was unemployed, so I had nothing else to do. But sometimes you really just gotta strap in if you want to like hit your deadlines and stuff. And I really did want to. Otherwise, like, you just can't have more than one thing going at a time.
No. Yeah, no, I hear you. Okay, sorry, I overestimated. The Mega Man 8 review is 22 minutes.
Yeah, that's not... I mean, you didn't overestimate, but that's a long review for Mega Man 8.
Yeah. But yeah, so it's... I don't know, it's just like what I think that's what I like about your stuff, because not only is a lot of the stuff that you review niche, but even when it's not, it's usually a game that I've thought about getting into or playing, and then I find out, basically, when your video goes up, whether it's worth it or not. There's been more times, more often than not, it's been a game that I like I said, I saw at EB, I saw it at another game store. I'm like, I've never heard of this. I don't know if it's worth the $50+ for it, so I'm just going to put it back, but I'll put it in my, list of things to look up, sort of thing. And then, most times it's like that. I mean,
it can be hard to decide too, because like a lot of these niche games are a gamble, and like, most of the time I'm paying for them out of my own pocket, and YouTube isn't really profitable. So like, I mean, I like exploring different things. It's just something that, it just makes me happy. But sometimes that gamble is a complete pile of garbage. Like I had pre-ordered Alakine's gun. And I don't know if you know anything about that, but it's probably one of the worst rated games on the PlayStation 4. I got like a nice pre-order bonus for it and everything. It's embarrassing.
I like one video that specifically in recent memory that sticks out to me is the one you did on Super Neptunia RPG. The Neptunia series is one that I'm like, it just kind of blends together for me because they're all kind of whatever. But then when I saw your video, I'm like, oh, this is different than some of the other games in the series. And also it stopped me from getting it on Switch because it sounds like it has performance issues on that platform.
It has more performance issues than it has anything else. That game hurt to play. It hurt to beat. Like, I dedicated to it and I finished it, but it was a chore.
It's funny because, like, you say that, but in your video, like, it seemed like you still enjoyed it to some aspect. Like, it didn't sound as negative in the video as you were right now. Maybe that was just my perspective, but...
You're probably not wrong. The thing is, I tried to look at the game without those performance issues, and I try to just explain without my negative opinion, like, what all the combat is, so that people can actually look at it and decide if that's going to be enough for them. Right? So, like, I don't like to attach my anger to everything that I say. And if anything seems to me, like, after I record it, that it's just a little too extreme, I might go back and try to record it more level so that people can get a more, like, level opinion and make up their mind themselves without feeling like they're being swayed one way or the other. But the game, like, what I tried to settle on with this one is that if those performance issues didn't exist, it's like just a cut above average for a Neptunia game. But in my opinion, the Neptunia games in general aren't really that good to begin with, so...
it's a series I think I played one of them on PS3, and then like a bunch of them were on sale on Steam, and I'm always like, maybe I will, and then I'm like, nah. But that one like actually looks like one I would enjoy. And also, that video gave me one of my favorite moments of yours now that I actually used in my Go-Go Ackman 2 review.
Yeah,
it's pretty good.
Popping out behind trees in the woods and all that stuff. Yeah, I was just walking through this trail with my wife, like on a random winter day, and I just like my phone is what we use for the camera. I'm like, let's just where we're out here, let's not waste the opportunity. I'm going to record a few like random reactions, and maybe someday I'll use them in a video. So there they are.
Yeah, well, they're very good. I'll probably use one of them again.
By all means, it's always good to have stuff like that in your back pocket. Anyway,
I just think it's funny. Like when I posted that video, the 3 thumbnails, and this has happened before. 3 thumbnails were all of people. One was me, one was of the ultra healthy video game nerd, and then the other one was that split second I used that clip.
Yeah.
That's like YouTube knew. It's like, oh, these show the people, don't show the video game. Not that I use those thumbnails anyways, but it's just funny that that's what it detected as the default thumbnails. But yeah. So was that something you just filmed randomly? You're like, I'll use it eventually, or was it like you were like, this might work for this video? Like
it was literally just like I might use it eventually. I recorded it, and like I think in the outtakes you can even hear me say to my wife, I don't know what I'll ever use that for.
I love the one where you like are laying down and you pop up in the background.
Yeah, there was a whole bunch more of those too. I just, didn't have use for them. So, but I used those 2 in that one video, and that's probably all I'm ever going to use because I don't want to just repeat the same jokes.
See, I have a habit. Before I did game reviews, I did parodies. I came from the abridged community, the whole abridged series thing.
Oh yeah.
And I was known as the guy who's like, you see that joke that's a meme that everybody's using? Yeah, I'm gonna make sure that joke dies by running it into the ground.
Yeah.
So if there ever is an opportunity where I do a crossover, be like, say the line, Tark, and be like, no, I'm not saying it.
I try not to use memes much anymore. Like I'll find like some funny like reference videos that I might throw in that aren't huge established memes, but I try not to use them anymore. And the reason why, way back I reviewed Stella Glow, and I loaded the whole beginning with like 10 to 15 different Harambe jokes. God. And in 2020, Harambe jokes are not really funny anymore. They're funny because they're so not funny, but most people aren't going to laugh at them. And I looked back on that video like 3 weeks after I made it. I'm like, this isn't funny anymore. Like this meme is just very dated to me. And I took the video down, I chopped them all up, and I re-uploaded it.
It's funny because like another, just going back to, because the people in RCG and River City Gamers, a lot of them came from the early wave of like internet YouTube reviewers. So like we've got Blonde Guy Gamer, SCXCR, Wizwar was part of our group at one point. Like just like people who came from that era, and like we all got used to making dumb inside jokes with each other, so we just end up putting them in their videos. I haven't done it so much anymore, except for the parody review I just did. But it's funny to go back to watch some of our old videos and be like, oh yeah, we thought that was really funny at the time. This joke is like 6 years old.
Oh yeah.
But like, I just like that as a little Easter egg thing. I don't do it too much anymore, but mostly for the parody stuff that I'm doing now. Like I revived it. The most recent video, I revived a character who I kept dormant for 10 years just to make another dumb video. Because I got an idea from a few people, but
well, way back when I was first starting, I had this grand idea. Okay, I love pugs. I thought it would be hilarious if I just slipped a pug into every video that I made. Even at one point, my banner on YouTube was just some stolen picture of a pug. And then like 3 videos in a row, I forgot to put a pug in, and I completely broke the streak of the joke. And so I just stopped doing it altogether. Like, there might have been a couple more after that, but now if you go back, like, a lot of my old videos I took down because I just don't like them, but you'll go back and you'll just see like these random pugs and they don't make any sense anymore.
Oh fuck! Now I gotta go back through your backlog of videos and find these pugs.
a lot of those early videos are gone, though. Thank God.
Oh man. See, my buddy. Some of my buddies do that too. Like my buddy Blonde Guy Gamer, he got Retsu Parade on one of his old Evil Dead videos, and then he took the original Evil Dead videos down and redid them. I'm like, man, you got to keep your history up there. I mean, I guess it's cringe, but at the same time, it's like
that's what people say to me too, and I get it. And in a way, I even agree with you. But then I look at the channel, I'm like, there's a lot of people who are probably coming here for the first time. Now, if I was inviting somebody to my house for the first time, I'd want to clean the place up a bit, hide all my garbage or something. People walk in, they see the place is a mess, they might just walk out.
I guess that's fair, but I mean,
I'll keep my old videos, just not public.
I mean, yeah, like, I say to people, like, if you don't want it to be public, just put them on unlisted. And then the people who really care, who want to see those dumb videos again, will see them. At least that's what I do. Like, I lost my original channel, but I have re-uploaded my original reviews that I did back in 2007, which are not good. It was in the time of gimmicks, like the AVGN and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah. So, but I mean, everybody loves AVGN.
Yeah, exactly. I did want to ask you something else. I got somebody from my Discord asked a question. They're wondering if you're going to cover Final Fantasy VII Remake.
I am very, very undecided. I actually went out to look for a copy today, and the only place left in my city to buy any is Walmart. And they had a little piece of paper up on their glass store that said that they are not selling it in store for social distancing purposes and to order it online. Now, months and months ago, I was all like, nah, Tark, you don't got to pre-order that. There's going to be loads of copies, but who could have known this was going to happen?
Yeah, exactly.
So I'm going to play it without a doubt. If I review it, it will be a little bit late, like probably a month or more from now. I struggle with the idea of reviewing it because the fan base is very passionate. If I like the game too much, a lot of them are going to come down on me. If I don't like the game enough, a lot of them are going to come down on me. It's a thin line. I will always, of course, if I review it, I'll say whatever I have to say honestly, but the biggest thing that I want to do if I review it is try to review it from the perspective of somebody who doesn't know anything at all about Final Fantasy VII. And that's going to be tough. I don't want to be one of those people that just makes comparisons to the older one. Because I feel like, in a way, that discredits what the new one's doing, or it discredits what the old one did. And it just gets messy. I want to be able to look at it in a vacuum, and that's going to be very tough to do.
Yeah, I mean, me personally, if enough people wanted me to review it, I just started off with, Final Fantasy VII Remake is a quarter of the PlayStation original. That's all you need to know.
Yeah. I mean, that's an objective review.
That I would probably do that for, if I did do anything. I have this new thing I do that it's just called Zeromaster. I think you may have seen one or two of the videos, but where I just talk about a topic. Like I did that Amiibo Festival video, and my buddies won't let me live it down now.
Well, I like that video.
Yeah, but my one buddy's just like, I can't believe you like Amiibo Festival. I'm like, yep, there's a video there where I talk about why I like it.
I mean, I told you that I don't really like Amiibo Festival very much. I got bored of it pretty quick. But I liked the video. I liked the perspective.
Yeah. But yeah, so eventually, like, maybe something like that'll happen, because I have a history with Final Fantasy VII. It's the game that I could never get past Disc 1, because every time I did, my data would get corrupted.
Oh.
Immediately. The days of disc swapping. Those were the days.
Oh, you weren't using like a garbage like Mad Cats or like Hips... What was it called? Like Hip Street or something? Like memory card?
See, I had multiple different memory cards, and it happened on official ones, and unofficial ones it didn't matter. It was
Okay.
It was the same thing.
Oh, that sucks. I remember back in the PlayStation 1 days, the biggest issue I would always run into, I would make it to the third disc of an RPG, and somewhere on the third disc, it would always freeze. The game would freeze. You couldn't progress. Always disc 3.
That actually happened with it. I didn't play it, but my brother played through Legend of Dragoon.
I love that game.
It was the third disc
I love that
it happened to him on.
Honest to God, that is honest to God my second favorite game of all time.
I love it, but I am not completed disc 1. This is my problem with RPGs. I think I just need to do what you do and sit down and just play that game. But I stream and I do Let's Plays and stuff. It's kind of hard for me to do all one thing. Though I will say streaming has been good for me actually completing games. Like recently I completed Custom Robo, a game I'd never finished.
To the GameCube one?
Years. Yeah, the GameCube one. Okay, so I didn't beat the post game stuff because it's stupid hard, but I beat the main game, and I feel like I had enough. Actually, the people who are in my stream are like, you should review this. I'm like, eventually. I have the footage now, so I can write a thing for it eventually.
Okay, well, I actually have a quick question for you. I know you do like JRPGs, but you said you often don't finish them. Are there any that you have finished?
Yes. If I had to think outside, well, Pokemon, almost all the Pokemon games finished, like at the main series, but that's Pokemon.
Right. For some reason, I never think of them when I think of JRPGs.
Well, because they're different, but they're the same kind of. Yeah. They're still turn-based RPGs, but there's collecting in them.
They completely fit in. It's kind of like how when people think of anime, they don't usually think of Pokemon or Dragon Ball because it was so much a part of North American culture too.
But it's a short list, but I can think of some like just recent, like within the last couple of years. I do this thing every year called 16-Bit Winter. It was actually inspired by another guy who did this thing called 8-Bit Summer that a bunch of other Let's Players were in on. And I've just gotten used to doing it because the reason I do 16-Bit Winter is because Santa Claus brought me my first console, the Super Nintendo, back in the day. So I have very fond memory. It's my favorite console of all time.
I love it.
And I have very fond memories of it. So, but and I remember one game, it's funny, I'm getting to a story here. One game I begged my parents for that I never got was Super Mario RPG. I begged them for it. I didn't even know what an RPG was at that time. I just, I think I think this was before I played Pokemon, or before Pokemon came out. I can't remember when that game exactly came out, but I just remembered the graphics. I really wanted it. And I didn't realize it was a, $90 inflation adjusted for the Canadian dollar.
Yeah.
That's
well, video game prices were wild back then. They were completely unregulated.
Yeah. I remember my brother and I wanted Donkey Kong Country 2 really badly, and it was sold out everywhere. But Zellers, my dad was on a list for Zellers for callbacks when they got a shipment. Christmas Eve, they got a shipment. And it was 9 o'clock on Christmas Eve. And they called him hey, we have a copy here reserved for you. And he was just like, I'll be there soon.
They're getting a good Christmas this year.
Yeah, and I remember they'll never let me live it down. Every time he says, he told us when we got it, he's like, I had to go to Zellers at 9:30 at night and spend $90 on that. You better appreciate it.
It's Donkey Kong Country 2, man. It's the best platformer ever made.
It's my favorite of the series. It's one of my favorite games
Easily.
of all time. And it's funny, when Returns came out, I also got it for Christmas. So I opened it and I asked my dad, I'm like, so did you have to go out Christmas Eve and wait at Zellers to get this? No. I'm like, what? You don't remember that story that you've forced into our minds for years? But Mario RPG was one I always wanted. And I eventually got it when I started collecting in my early college, late high school years, started collecting Super Nintendo seriously. And I just never finished it. And then one year for the 16-Bit Winter, whatever, I decided, you know what? I'm going to finish this game. I'm going to do it this time. And that's one I could say I finished and I really enjoyed. Paper Mario is another one, but Paper Mario is one that's hard to say because it's a very simple RPG. So I know that some people are like, well, that's not a huge accomplishment, but I really liked it, and I think it's one of the best RPGs out there, especially for people who are new to them as well.
Did you ever try 1,000 Year Door?
I for years, my brother bought Thousand Year Door, and then he sold it, and then for years we couldn't get it, and then randomly a game store in Toronto had 3 copies of it that they were selling for like nothing.
Yeah.
I think they sold it for like $40. So I have it, and I do want to do a Let's Play of it. It's one of my most requested Let's Plays because I did, the first year I started the Let's Play channel I played through Paper Mario. That was one of the first games I did. So people have been asking for a long time for me to do Thousand Year Door, and for a long time I didn't have it. Now I do. So it's like, it's just a matter of time for me to cover that one.
Yeah, do it, man. It's so good. Like, it's actually one of my favorite RPGs, and it's easy for newcomers for the most part, but the final battle is still a challenge.
Oh, the final battle in the first game is as well, if you're not prepared for it. Like, so I definitely understand that. And I've been watching other people, like Manaka Dobo has been streaming it, so, and apparently there's this new thing now where, like, you can get, like, an HD texture pack if you play it on emulator, so I'm considering that as well, so I don't know. Like, I do want to play it, and it's so funny, when JJ Games went out of business, I went and snagged Color Splash. I know it's not really the same kind of thing, it's more like a beefed up Sticker Star, but I still want to play it. I still want to try to get through it, so there's that as well. So I'm just like, I need to do this, I need to do Thousand Year Door so I can get to Super, and I can get to this. Because I have them all except for Sticker Star. My brother owns that, but
yeah, I don't actually have Sticker Star.
It's not that good.
I stopped after the Wii one. The Wii one didn't inspire much confidence for me. I'll look at them again someday.
Yeah. But yeah, that's one. Speaking of another thing for 16-bit Winter, I did finally beat a Final Fantasy game.
6?
No.
I'm thinking of the 16-bit ones here. Mystic Quest. Okay, that kind of counts. Sure, I'll give it to you.
But the reason I did that one is because I'd heard a lot of people say, this one's like a little, and it's not like I don't need my RPGs to be easy. Like, no. I don't need them to be easy. I just wanted something more casual at that time to play.
Honestly, Mystic Quest gets a bad rap.
It's not bad. Like, my buddy Blonde Guy Gamer reviewed it, and he was honest with it. He's like, it's not amazing, but he's like, it's not terrible. It's just a simple, fun RPG.
Yeah, simple, streamlined, awesome music. So
the music is fantastic in that game.
Yeah, so it'll always have that.
The battle theme is my favorite song. Like, I love that battle theme. Somebody did a metal cover of it, and it's like, it's been on my MP3 player ever since I found that. So, and recently, I haven't finished it because this is tragic. I was streaming Chrono Trigger last year for 16-bit Winter because I do it for my streams too. And I got to the very end, and I was playing it on a multi-cart, which is not a smart idea, I know. But it's the only way I could play it, the SNES version, because that's the version I wanted to play. I brought that multi-cart with me to a convention. Just talking about my buddy Blonde Guy Gamer again, not to put him on blast, but he loaded it up and loaded another game that had a save file, and it was one of those multi-carts where, like, the battery holds one game save.
Oh.
So he's loaded up this game that required you to make a save to play it, and he erased my game save file. But I have a good friend of mine, my buddy Starfield Gaming, or his real name's Billy. He's loves numbers and grinding an RPG. So I'm just like, here, take my cart and get me back to where I was. I was literally at the last fight when I stopped my last stream.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, I can't do this right now because this is probably going to take me 35 to 45 minutes to do this because I've heard how much shit you have to do in that final battle. So I'm just like, I gave it to him. I'm like, here, just get me back to where I was. And then, of course, I missed a bunch of stuff during the stream. So I was like, I'm also going to get all the other stuff you missed because it bothered me.
At least on the plus side, like, Chrono Trigger isn't really a long RPG. It's like 15 to 25 hours.
It's not. It's just I was drained. I didn't want to go through the whole game again just to get back there.
I would never. I cannot. I rarely replay games as it is. Like, playing the same one back to back twice. Nah, unless it's Dark Souls, that ain't happening.
Yeah, no. So the list is not long of RPGs I've completed, but it goes to show you that I do like some. Like, I love the Tales of series. I love Final Fantasy. I want to get into Trails. Like I loved Suikoden 1. I'm going to finish it eventually. So I love these games. It's just, it's too bad a lot of the times I just, like, I don't have the time of day to give it to them. I need to, like, Streaming has helped though. I found streaming has really helped me get through these games. Like I never would have gotten as far as I did in Chrono Trigger if I didn't stream it, because it's also nice too because people who are familiar with the game also help me out because I'm kind of an idiot when it comes to some things in games.
There's a few places in Chrono Trigger where you can get stuck pretty easy. A few areas where like the path ahead is just not that clear. Like I seem to recall, I got stuck sometime after I first got Frog. I can't remember. And that's not his name. What's his name? Jesus, it's been so long.
I think it is Frog.
Is it really Frog? I'm not just making that up.
I gave them all stupid nicknames too. That's what I love about streaming and doing Let's Plays. I can give my characters dumb names. So that makes it all great. Like, what's her name? The caveman girl. I just called her waifu because that's what everybody was saying that she was.
Oh, yeah. Well, she doesn't have much good dialogue anyway. Didn't lose much there.
Yeah, but it's funny because, like, I do now that I've completed Mystic Quest and I've pretty much gotten through Chrono Trigger, I'm like, okay, I want to do Final Fantasy 2 next on stream because I feel like that's one that I really... And by 2, I mean 4. Because it's on the SNES Classic, and that's how I finally got a hold of that game. And then 3 is another one that I want to do, or 6, because it's... I haven't finished it, but from what I played, it's the best in the series, in my opinion. Of all the Final Fantasy games, I think it's one of the best. It's not my favorite, but it is one of the best.
Yeah,
it seems like 6 and 7 are the two that people gravitate towards being the best ones. So
7, I feel like 7 gets a little bit of a benefit. How do I word this? For a lot of people, 7 was their very first JRPG. So there's kind of like a lot of like first impression bias attached to it. And I'm not going to say it doesn't earn its reputation, but I feel like personally, I've always liked 9 the most.
9, I really love 9. It's a fun game. Another one I need to finish. I even bought the stupid strategy guide that came with it with that play online thing, and I still have it.
For 9, I remember what the cover of the strategy guide looks like because a friend had it, but that's it.
Like, it's another YouTuber, I'm a part of their community, and I follow them. Derek, who does the Stop Skeletons from Fighting show. They recently did a video on game guides, and when he brought up that Final Fantasy 9 one, I'm like, I remember that bullshit. I bought this guide. I'm like, great. This will help me get through this RPG this RPG is like a genre I never complete. And then it's like, go to this website to get the full thing.
Yeah, for more information on this part, check our website.
It's so dumb. It's like, yeah, I bought this book for like $40 and you're not even going to put all the information in it.
Yeah,
Thanks.
I didn't even have the internet back then. A big middle finger. But yeah, Final Fantasy 9's always held a special place in my heart. And you know what? Yeah, actually, here, I got a small story for you.
Sure.
This was back when the game was new. Final Fantasy 9, like, in a way, it kind of changed my life, but not even because of my playthrough. A friend of mine was playing the game, and every time he got a new character, he would name the character after somebody in our group of friends. So, like, our tall friend was... what's the guy's name? The big, tall knight dude. It's been so long now. But anyway, he named the knight after my friend Jamie. Vivi, the short one, he named after me. And of course, I was always the shortest guy in class, so I kind of seen that, and I kind of felt like crap, man. I'm like, this is just it. This is how I'm always defined, you know? Like, I'm the small, like, weak, pathetic guy. And then I was at his house watching him play, and I seen these cutscenes with Vivi casting this crazy friggin' magic. He was just wrecking shit, and at that moment, it hit me. I'm like, wait, this is the small guy, and he has, like, all this power. So, like, he's not just defined by being small. Like, he actually has potential. And it kind of hit me. I'm like, wait, maybe that's, like, kind of like me, too. Maybe I can actually do something. Maybe I'm not always...
I have magical powers.
Yeah, and then I threw my fingers out, and, like, no lightning came out, and that was
Tark,
it.
Please don't light me on fire, I swear to God.
It was like a revelation for me, though, and I don't know why. Like, I must have been a really stupid kid to never realize it before. But I don't know.
Well,
it opened my eyes.
Sometimes you need that kind of experience, right? Like to open your eyes to that stuff, because that, you know, it is a good lesson to learn, and I'm glad you learned it in a good place.
Yeah, it only took until Final Fantasy IX, which I don't know, when did that come out? Like 2001 or something?
Oh yeah. This is the thing. That's the first year my family got a computer. Bought 3 days before Windows XP came out, so I was stuck with Windows ME for years until I became familiar with the IT world and was able to take care of that shit myself.
Man, I grew up with a Windows 98 Packard Bell, and we didn't have internet. And if I can recall correct, it had something like 24 megabytes of RAM, if not less. But it could play StarCraft and Diablo 1 and 2, and that's all I needed.
Better put some wood grain on that.
Yeah, okay, there, LGR, Clint. But we had, like, I'm pretty sure Clint literally looked at the exact computer I had, except the monitor was different. I think my monitor had these two dumbass speakers that attached to the side.
Oh, you had one of those too? Fuck.
Yeah. And once those speakers blow, they're pretty hard to replace.
Yep. Oh man. It's so I guess what with all this reminiscing I can say is I have footage of Final Fantasy Mystic Quest and Chrono Trigger and the Paper Mario games. So if you ever want to cross over with any of those games, I have the footage.
We'll just steal it all. Chrono Trigger, Paper Mario. Paper Mario would probably be the one I would play next on that list. If I go back to play any of them, it'd be Paper Mario.
Well, 1,000 Year Door, it's funny because one of the Let's Play shows I do now is called Power Plays, where I have a group of friends with me. My one buddy, Billy, the guy I talked about earlier, who loves grinding in RPGs, to the point of sometimes he breaks the games. I don't know how, but he does. He talked about 1,000 Year Door with me recently, and just before this whole coronavirus thing happened, I was like, yeah, let's do it. People have been asking me to play it. Let's play it together. And then he hurt his knee and had to be off for 2 weeks, and then the whole COVID thing happened. So I'm just lucky I have a huge backlog of videos we recorded to put up. So I'm not too concerned, but it's just like, we'll get to that. I'll get to that one now after this whole outbreak's done.
Man, I hope you get to 1,000 Year Door. I want to see it. Okay, actually, my opinion on 1,000 Year Door is strange. It's actually one of my favorite RPGs, but every time I replay it, every time I get to a new area, I'm like, man, I hate this area. Over and over again, man, I hate this area. I hate this part of the game.
Some of my favorite games have that shit. Like, Mega Man 8, like that game I reviewed like a couple years ago. Wily Stage 1 is a pain in the ass because that entire stage is the whole jump, slide for the first half of it, and there's no checkpoints. So you have to do it perfect.
Yeah.
And it's very easy to die. And then when you finally get to the end of the level, the boss can only be hit by a weapon that you kick. So it can only be hit like at a certain angle. So it's not a fun level.
Yeah. Well, but, I mean, Mega Man 1, I think you kill Wily with Top Man. Of all the friggin' Robot Master abilities to use, it's the one that you need to use, like jumping off platforms and like falling. It's a pain. That's Mega Man for you, though.
That's Mega Man 3.
Wait, Top Man was Mega Man 3?
Yes.
What is it in Mega Man 1?
I'm trying to remember now, because that's the one I don't have a lot of experience with that one, because it's the most bullshit, because they were still figuring out how to make platforming levels and stuff.
Mega Man 1 is brutal. It's absolutely brutal, but at least it's short.
You know what's funny? I played it recently to get footage for a video, and it wasn't as hard as I thought it was. Maybe it's because I'm seasoned with the series, because I played them all. But like, I was like, no, I'm kind of getting this. I can kind of get through this.
There's a couple stages that drive me mad, man. Like the ice stage, the physics are so rough.
And then you have to deal with the Roku blocks. That's fantastic.
I think
having to deal with that ice physics.
One of the most challenging for me, I think there was a part with these little platforms that were guided on ropes, but the platforms drop and like levers and they open and close in certain points.
Yep.
That level drives me nuts.
I think you're talking about Gutsman there. That level drives me insane as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's one of those games where with enough practice, and I guess if you're seasoned enough, you can get through it. And the funny thing is, I did do a Mega Man marathon of games on my Let's Play channel years ago before Mega Man 9 came out. I didn't do 1 specifically because I hated playing through it. So I was like, I'll do this another time. I just went 2 and went on from there. So
yeah, it's amazing. One is actually, it's hard enough that I don't really feel like playing it that often, but Mega Man 2 is actually my all-time favorite video game.
That's funny. This is a perfect segue because I was going to ask you, what are your favorite games of all time?
My absolute favorite is Mega Man 2.
I'm surprised to hear that with the content that you cover, that's the one. That's your favorite.
It's just so good, man. Like, what am I supposed to do? The music is good. The stage design's good. Some people complain the Metal Blade's overpowered. I don't know. I love it. I like using it.
I can't argue with you. It is a fantastic game, and it's one of the best in the series.
I have a weird history with that game, too. Because I think I found it when I was like 10 or 11. And I mean, the NES was long out of fashion at that time. I think the N64 and maybe even GameCube were out at the time. I can't quite remember. But my stepmother, like, we had just moved into this new place, and my stepmother came in from her little dog kennel out back, which was just this, it was just on the grass. And she says, I found this in the dirt. And it was an NES game. Had no label on it. You could not tell what it was. I spent days cleaning that, trying to get all the gunk out of the pins and trying to get it to work. I had no idea what it was. By the time I finally got it, it was Mega Man 2. And then I sat for weeks making these grid passwords on paper every time I killed a robot master, and it took me literally weeks to beat this game.
I have 2 funny stories related to Mega Man 2 that you remind me of. So I started with the Super Nintendo. So my first Mega Man was Mega Man X. And that was my introduction to the series. And then some kid moved in down the street a few years later. I think it was around the same time, around the GameCube era. He moved in and he had an NES. Speaking of moving, my cousin had moved out of his parents' place and moved into his own place, and he was giving away some stuff. So he gave me this old book of Nintendo tips and tricks. It's just like, it has a weird fox dude on it or something. I still have it somewhere, but
oh yeah, there was a few volumes of those.
Yeah, so this kid had an NES, and he had some games, and he's like, let's play Mega Man 2. And I'm like, oh, this is perfect. I just got a tips and tricks book that tells us all the strategies for beating the bosses. So me, my brother, and a bunch of us kids sat there, and that night we finished that game together. And I guess I was the tip god because I had the book. so
coolest kid at the party.
People would be like, how do we beat this guy? I'd be like, hold on, let me look that up. Because they had a whole big section just for Mega Man 2 in this book. It was one of those books where they favored some games, you can tell, and other games are like, here's a password.
Yeah.
And this next story shows my naivete, I guess. When I was younger, I had the Mega Man Game Boy games, and I would write down passwords all the time. This was before I had internet, years before I had internet. So because I didn't know any other way to transport, that Christmas, I left a note for Santa to say, hey, can you pass around these codes to all the kids who own Mega Man games?
Hey.
My dad was even like, I don't think Santa has time for that. I'm like, well, I'll just see if he says no, he says no.
That's like one of those heart of gold kind of stories, right? Like, oh, Santa, I don't want anything for Christmas. I just want all the kids with Mega Man to have these codes.
No, I still wanted stuff for Christmas. I just want him to do me a solid on this one. But yeah, so I guess what I should ask then is, like, we know Mega Man 2 is apparently your favorite game of all time, which is kind of I'm still shocked about. What are some others that, like, you're just like say, let's say top 5. What is your top 5 if you had to think about it, like, just off the cuff?
This is always really tough, but of course Mega Man 2 is my favorite, probably always will be. The Legend of Dragoon is my second favorite game of all time. I've made peace with that. It's mostly nostalgia, I bet. Like, the game's probably not even that great, but I love it, and I'll defend it to my death. I have it digitally. I promise I will play through it. That's one I should do. I love the game. Not everybody does.
I will give it a fair try. I'll stream it or something one of these days.
We talked about it earlier. Donkey Kong Country 2 is probably my favorite platformer of all time. I don't consider Mega Man platformers for what it's worth. I'd be remiss not to include the Legend of Heroes series. That's probably my second favorite franchise of all time. my favorite franchise of all time is the Tales of RPG series, but I'm not sure if any of those are in my top 5 favorite games.
No, I feel you. Like one of my second favorite franchise is Monster Hunter, and I've been playing those games since the first one came out on PS2. So, but I probably wouldn't put any of the early games in the series on the list because they're so janky.
Yeah, from Monster Hunter 3 Ultimate and onward, I think they were pretty solid.
Until World came out, that was my favorite in the series. 3 Ultimate was. But now it's World because they just fixed so much.
Oh, God, what else could I put on a list like this? Like,
if you can't think of 5, you've given me quite a few.
It is just really hard to, kind of narrow things down. And I wouldn't want to leave anything off. It's like, I really love the Fatal Frame games. Rule of Rose has to be up there. I get the gameplay's not great, but man, that story is special.
It's funny. Another buddy of mine who I do my Let's Play show with has... we've been playing Haunted Ground because he has it.
Yeah.
And I talked about... I think you commented about when I made that Debilitus comment on my one of my other videos. I can't remember which one it was.
That's the first stalker guy or whatever they call him.
Yeah, because like right now we're stuck in Debilitus hell. I say in that Let's Play because the last time he came over, we made a little bit of progress, and then he would show up.
Yeah,
and then we'd have to go back.
He is the worst of them all. He drags that whole game down. Like, I mean, he's only in there for like the first fifth of the game, but he drags the whole experience of playing it down.
Now, he also wants to do Rule of Rose, and I said, I don't know. I've seen a lot of videos saying this isn't that great of a game, but if you're saying it's still worth it to play through, then maybe we'll do it. I'm just going to curse your name anytime something bad comes up.
Rule of Rose has very frustrating combat. Like, the hitboxes are broken. They are super broken. Combat should not have been a part of that game at all.
Don't be surprised if that Let's Play comes out and I get really frustrated at one part, or I'm dying, or I'm scared, and I'm like, Tark, help!
Yeah, there's parts of the game where they force you into combat, and there's like boss battles that aren't really good. But like, I don't know, I never struggled with it like other people did.
Yeah.
It's the story, man. It's the story, the characters, and the music. I listened to the soundtrack for that game more than I listened to any other game soundtrack.
Well, you know what? I will give it another look then, because you're now more than a few people have told me to play it. So
yeah, and like when you're done, if you haven't pieced the story together, if like it doesn't make any sense, check out an explanation for it, because it's honest to God probably one of the most. How do I say this without overpraising it? It's probably one of my favorite video game stories, like of all time. It's a beautiful little tale. And it's also severely messed up.
So here's what I'm going to do. When I finish it and I don't get it, I'm going to call you and be like, I don't get it. Please explain.
Yeah, I'll email you like documents or something.
You'd be like, so it's about this.
You know that one GIF from like Always Sunny in Philadelphia where Charlie has like the maps and the strings on the wall?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be like that. I'm like, now, if you recall this part of the game, and that connects here, and this part actually happens there, it's not what you think it is. It's brilliant. The whole game's brilliant to me.
Yeah.
This whole story, sorry. I can't extend that to the gameplay.
Oh, you know what it was? I think it was my top 10 games of 2019, because I was talking about Resident Evil 2, and Debilitus came up because I was salty.
Oh.
That's the video I think it was.
Were you like making some sort of allusion between like... Mr. X and Debilitus.
Because I remember a lot of people were like, Mr. X is a lot more ruthless this time around than he was in the original game. And I'm like, well, at least it's not Debilitus.
Yeah, if you've dealt with Debilitus, you will not complain about... I almost called him Professor X. Mr. X.
Professor X. Well, he's got that swag hat, right? So it's pretty easy.
Yeah, he's missing a chair, though. You know, one of those ones with wheels on it. Yeah. His legs seem to work quite all right. Too good, in fact.
God, now I'm thinking about... See, I thought I had a good answer for my own question for what would be a top 5, but like, I know at the top it's Mega Man 7, because that game, out of all the Mega Man games, it's the one that I can go back to and have just as much fun playing. But I will admit that last boss fight is complete bullshit. If like it's sometimes is up to chance if you could beat it. I've seen people speedrun the game and have better strats than I do, and I'm like, I can't do those strats. I'm just gonna stick with the old hope I outlast him with E-tanks kind of strategy. So but yeah, I'd put that, probably Monster Hunter World would be right under that, and then the rest are kind of difficult. So I know what you mean there. I'd probably put Resident Evil 7 on there somewhere because I was just so impressed with that game.
It's pretty easy to pick like at least your top favorite game, huh? Because there's always one that's like super special that like really resonates with you, and then the rest it's like, you know, actually picking between children. You can say you don't have a favorite, but you clearly have one favorite. You just don't have a favorite from the rest.
Yeah, it's even hard right now. I'm still writing my top games of the last decade video. I meant for it to come out in February, and it's now April. So it's hard to like narrow down. I took a list of 110 games, and I had to decide, okay, which of these from the last 10 years were my favorite, and how do I even rank those?
Yeah. Would you also do like a only one per franchise kind of rule?
That is my rule, yeah, because if I didn't, I'd have both Pokemon Sword and Shield and Pokemon Black and White on there, and that's not fair.
Yeah, I would have at least, I think, like 4 Legend of Heroes games, probably a Tales of game or 2. Actually, maybe only 1, because they haven't released that many in the past 10 years. There'd be quite a few Yakuza games.
Knowing that you're also a fan of Tales, I'm interested to see, like, if you get a chance. Like I said, my buddy Blonde Guy Gamer is doing a North American Tales of retrospective right now.
Yeah.
I'd be interested to see your perspective. He's only gotten up to the second PS2 game, or the first whatever it's called, Tales of
Abyss?
Tales of Abyss. He's gotten up... No, he hasn't gotten to Abyss yet. There's one that came out before that. Arcadia? Wait. Is it Arcadia? I can't remember.
No, there was no North American Arcadia.
Well, he's doing them in release. He's doing them in North American release order. So Fantasia is the next video he's working on, even though Fantasia is the first in the series,
right? Because it came out on Game Boy Advance.
Yeah. So, and what's so funny is I recently found that game. I can't remember where it was, an auction or something, but somebody was. Oh, it was an auction on Facebook. Somebody was selling it complete for like $40.
Yeah,
and I snagged it. And like the seal on the top was broken, but the plastic was still on it. So I'm like, this person must have whoever had this before must have played it a few times and then gotten rid of it because it's in mint condition.
Please tell me he is not playing it on Game Boy Advance, though.
He is, because he's playing. He said what he did say is he does have the original Japanese version, and he does have the Retron 5, so he can apply a patch. So when he needs to, he'll be making comparisons. But like his retrospective is strictly a North American retrospective. And he actually said that in his first video. He's like, I know that there's Japanese games.
That's fair.
I know there's fan translations, but I want to focus on how the game's released for us.
Yeah, that's fair. I'm going to do the same thing with the Art and Ellico games. People aren't happy that I'm playing Art and Ellico 2 on my actual PlayStation 2 and not on an emulator with a fan translation patch.
Yeah, no, and I understand that totally. It's one of those things where like, and I sort of appreciate it because it's a unique perspective. Because anybody could do a retrospective and start with the SNES Fantasia with the fan translation, but he wants to do it in a way where these were how the games were originally released in our region. So I want to talk about it, and also doing the videos to try to get Sony or someone to like put the games on the PlayStation Store, because Tales of Destiny 1 and 2 are freaking expensive.
You're telling me.
And I've come across it several times at conventions. I'm like, no, I'd like to eat dinner tonight, so I'm not going to buy that.
Many years ago, we have this website called Kijiji, which is for like private sales, right? From person to person.
Dude, I live in Canada too. I know what Kijiji is.
Good. For Americans, it's Craigslist. But I put this ad out on Kijiji that I was looking for Tales of games. And after like a week, I got a response. This girl had 3 of them. She had Abyss, Legendia, and Destiny 1. She said, I want $15 for Abyss, $15 for Legendia, and I want $30 for Destiny because it's older. And I'm like, yeah, okay, sure, $60, I'll meet you. So I got Destiny for $30. But Destiny 2 was the last game that I needed to complete my North American Tales of set. And that's the game that I spent the most money on for a standard release at $120.
It's so funny because my buddy, Blondie, he lives in a small town near the border, near the Detroit border. And he, and this is not doxing him. He talks about this a lot. And there's this pawn store that's like infamous in his town. He finds games that are incredibly rare for like nothing. Either they don't know or they don't care. That's how he's gotten almost all his like expensive games, like Tales of and whatnot. He talked about the Tales of Destiny 1 and 2, and I think that's how he got them both. Even though Destiny 2 isn't really Destiny 2, because Destiny 2 is
Tales of Eternia.
Tales of Eternia.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
But yeah, it's so interesting because like he's gotten some of these games, like stuff like the Neverhood, he got for like nothing because that game, like, it's a PC game. Like, most people can't resell them. So it's just random games that he's gotten from there. He actually, my copy of Strider 2: The Return, which is the unofficial Genesis sequel, I got from him because the store had 2 copies. So just stuff like that. But it's just interesting to me because like it's a unique perspective, and it's always like sometimes it just makes you go, damn it, of course you found this for $15 in a pawn store.
I have dreams and fantasies of finding stores like that. There's nothing like that around here. Yard sales is your best bet, but 99% of the time, you're not going to find anything. It's like that 2 trips that you might make a year that you find a game that make it worth it.
It's funny. Scott the Woz just did a video on that, and he literally said that exact thing about garage sales.
And it's true. Like I have like stories of great finds at yard sales, and that makes it sound like going out yard selling is a great idea for collectors. But
those are the exception, not the rule.
For every one great story, there's 500 crappy trips.
So that leads to another question I have, because I have a good answer for this myself. But what are some of your rarest games? I mean, outside of the ones that you talked about, that you've gotten that for not near what they're worth. Like
the best deal that I got was Tales of Destiny, because I got it for $30, and I think at the time it was going for $100. I got Rule of Rose when it was a $60 game, and that's somewhere closer to like $400 now. It was, I think, maybe worth $90 at the time. I'm not sure. I got it for $60 like years back. The best deals I ever got were actually on like super common titles that still hold their value. So like there was a time that I had 3 or 4 copies of Wind Waker in my collection on GameCube, and this is when Wind Waker was a $40 to $50 game, and I got it. The cheapest I ever got it was $1.25.
Damn.
I went to a yard sale. This is a yard sale story, and this kid just had his old games out. He had Wind Waker. It was a bunch of... Wind Waker was the biggest one that I was really excited to find. He had Wind Waker, a couple of the Resident Evils on GameCube. Boy, what else? I think Star Fox Adventures. Some of the God of Wars. He was asking no more than $1.25 for every game, so I took like 6 or 7 of them.
That kid's probably kicking himself now.
There was also this woman I found on Kijiji. One of the worst ads I ever seen. Sad old woman, had no idea what she had. She was selling, and I quote on her ad, she was selling a bag of Nintendos. So I messaged her. I'm like, what exactly is a bag of Nintendos? And she's like, oh, there's like these Zeldas and these Marios, and like, you'll have to come in and look at it because I don't know what they are. And she lived literally like a 2.5 minute walk from my house. So I went there. Very kind, older lady, kind of in a crummy neighborhood, like down on a block. Her son moved out, and she's like, I told him plenty of times to come and take his games, or I'm gonna have to sell them. So she was selling them. She's like, well, can you tell me what they're worth? And I might have done like the half dishonest thing, like taking my pickings first. I'm like, I'm going to take these 2 or 3 games. I'll pay you like $45, which was like half the value of what they were. and I'm like, these ones here, I'm gonna leave for you. Like, I already had them. There was another copy of Wind Waker. I think there was like the Zelda Collector's Edition. I'm like, you're gonna want to ask like $40 or $50 for those. I'm like, these games over here, and there was like a Wii Rock Band or something. Like, these over here, you might want to clearance out for like $5. I don't want any of the systems. I'm just taking these 2 or 3 games for $40.
Yeah.
And then she called me back like 5 times asking if I had any friends that would buy the stuff. I don't think she ever sold them. I feel like she probably threw them out. I probably should have just took them all.
You should have taken that Wind Waker, because then you could have made a copy table of Wind Wakers.
I could have. I only have one Wind Waker now, though. I use them for trade bait.
That's what I do with the 5 copies of Xenoblade Chronicles I have.
Yeah, like, I don't want to be... I'm not a reseller. I like to keep my games for the most part, and if I get doubles,
same.
I'll try to give people a deal like I got. That's just how I work.
Yeah.
But, if I find something cheap, like, I'm gonna take it. I'm not the one who set the price. Mm-hmm. That's all they think it's worth. That's all they want for it. They're getting what they want. I'm getting what I want. And, 500 trips looking for a deal at a yard sale. Yeah, kid, I'm gonna buy your Wind Waker for $1.25.
I never wanted more, but I didn't start it.
Well, maybe if that kid paid for all my gas, for all those other yard sales, I would have gave him $40.
What was I going to say? So that's just so interesting. So I have a story, and I've told this before in other places, but this will be the first time in a podcast I've told it. My 3 rarest games I got and didn't know they were rare. So the 3rd rarest game I have was recently I got it. I was at a convention, or I think it was there's this thing that happens in Durham called the Game Swap. It happens annually. It's actually canceled now because of COVID for May, but it happens multiple times a year, I guess. And somebody was selling some Game Boy games, and I saw, because I do reviews, I'm always on the hunt for something I've never seen before, or that there's no information on, or little to no information on. So I picked up Spud's Adventure for the Game Boy for $10. And then some British YouTuber who does like videos on tech stuff randomly did a video on the rarest Game Boy games. And I'm like, and I noticed in the thumbnail, I'm like, wait a minute, I own that game.
Spud's Adventure.
Spud's Adventure. Come to find out, it's worth $400.
That's a friggin' penny, man. That's a good penny.
Yeah.
The name sounds familiar, but that's literally it.
Because I watched the video because I was curious, because the video was titled, it was clickbaity. It was like the rarest games on the Game Boy. And he, of course, bought like bootleg versions or like repos to show off so he could just talk about the games. But like, I'm pretty sure I bought that game. And of course, I look at my my thing of Game Boy games. I'm like, oh, yeah, I do. Well, this is going in a case now. The second one was my pal, Canadian Jutsu, my usual co-host, Canadian Jutsu. Good guy. He did a video on Hello Kitty Roller Rescue for the GameCube. He hasn't done many game reviews, but that is one that he is one of his favorite. Some might even say his magnum opus of game reviews. And so I like to torture him with stuff. So I picked up one time when I was visiting him, Hello Kitty, the kart racer. I can't remember
the Wii U one.
Yeah, the Wii U one.
Oh.
And I bought it was $20. Toys R Us only had one copy of it, so I picked it up. We never ended up playing it. I was screwing around at work one day at one of my past jobs, and I was just looking up stuff. I was talking to my buddy because we were talking about Agretzko, and I'm like, "Oh, that's the new Sanrio series." I'm like, "I wonder if this character is in."
Hello Kitty Kart Cruisers or whatever.
Kitty Kart Racer.
Yeah.
And I look it up, and I happened to accidentally on Google click on sale instead of images, because I was going to show him. I'm like, why is this game going for $300? And then, of course, a little bit of research. I have a sealed copy of one of the rarest Wii U games.
Which maybe correct me if I'm wrong, but I think they have now ported it to Switch as well.
Yes, they have. And I'm never opening my Wii U copy because I'm going to buy it on Switch instead.
What a travesty. It's not even like, it'd be better if the game was good.
Yeah, and what the reason it's so rare is they made it in very limited quantities. that there was a reason why, because this Toys R Us I bought it from, I had gone to 3 or 4 times. My buddy lives in Ottawa. So every time we go at Toys R Us, because I'm a Power Rangers nerd, and that's where you get the Power Rangers toys. And we would always peruse the video game. And it was the same copy that was there for like 3 years. And I'm like, you know what? Now's the time. I got $20. I'll buy this game. Come to find out it's worth hundreds of dollars. But the number one, and this is going back to my buddy Blanca Gamer, when I started collecting games, Microplay, wrong company, was going out of business in my town. And all their Super Nintendo games were like 25 cents. And I was like, I've never seen this game, so I picked it up. And then one day, I forgot about it, didn't think anything of it, played it, tested it, make sure it worked. Didn't think anything of it. And then one day I'm talking to him, and I'm like, I'm going through my collection. I'm like, yeah, I got these Super Nintendo games, I got this, I got this, I got this. Oh, and this weird cyborg ninja game called Hagane that I got for like 25 cents.
Wait,
and he's like,
do you actually have like a Hagane?
He says, what? I'm like, yeah, Hagane. Have you heard of this? He's like, dude, that's one of the rarest Super Nintendo games. How do you have it? I'm
like, it might actually
what?
be the rarest.
Yeah, so I have a North American copy of Hagane that I paid 25 cents for.
That's shocking. If I, like, that was, I think, a Blockbuster rental exclusive, right?
Yep.
Until, Blockbuster sold their stock, and that was the only way it made it out into the wild.
So a Blockbuster was selling retro games before that Microplay went out of business, and somebody must have bought it, traded it in, and they didn't know what they had, or they didn't care.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And that's how I ended up with it. So it's like, so that's my one thing, like, I can't mention it around him because he gets visibly upset.
I don't think I have anything that's worth as much as Hagane.
But all my 3 rarest games I got from dumb luck.
Sometimes that's what happens, man.
Yeah, it's that's the way it is. So I don't want to take up too much more of your time, but I do have one more important question that I want to ask you. And maybe there'll be another side one I'll do in a bit, but we'll push that to later. Are there any games that you really want to do a review on, but you just haven't had the opportunity to, or you just need, or it's not the right time to do it? Like, is there any one game or series of games that you want to do videos on, but it's just not, now's not a good time, or you just don't have the means to do it yet?
There's always tons. Like, like the PlayStation 1 and the PlayStation 2 have massive game libraries, and I definitely didn't get through all of them growing up. Shadow Hearts is very high. Wait, Shadow Hearts? Is that what I'm looking for? Yeah,
I think I know what you're talking about.
Shadow Hearts. I was getting it confused with Heart of Darkness in my head. Shadow Hearts, the series, I'd like to get into that at some point. Never got to play it before. Not once have I ever got to talk about Suikoden on my channel, and that's a huge, like, a giant hole that really needs filling. I've actually had a script for like 6 or 8 months or so of Suikoden trivia. That just like a kind of like, did you know Suikoden kind of thing. And it has a lot of awesome history. And I want to put that out there, but I really need to go back and play all of the Suikodens and get all of the footage and make sure that all of my, all my facts are straight and I have the right footage to line up to all the neat little trivia bits. But where do you find time?
Is Shadow Heart, is that a PS2 game, Shadow Hearts?
Yeah.
Is that the one? Yeah, okay.
And I
was thinking of a different PS1 game that I bought recently.
Was it Heart of Darkness?
It was an RPG that was like, no, it's not Heart of Darkness. It's an RPG that, like, I couldn't believe was $15, but apparently it's not super good.
Is it Shadow Madness?
I don't think it's Shadow anything, but, like, I'm just, I don't know. The cover looked overly, like, that, like, 90s anime CG style? That's what the cover looked like. Oh, it is Shadow Madness.
Yeah, I knew it. The cover, it's a guy on a blue brick background. He's, like, in, like, a half-crouching position with the sword out, pirate-looking guy.
Oh, God, this has a 4.3 out of 10 on GameSpot. Dude, what the hell is this game?
I had that game when it was new. And you know what? It is kind of bad, but it's also kind of awesome. It's nothing but wasted potential. Play it. Look at the ideas. There's so many great ideas. That game has so much variety. The execution's just terrible.
If I gathered the footage, would you consider that to be good crossover for us?
Would I ever play Shadow Madness again? I need to hunt down a copy because I haven't had it since I was a kid.
I will record all the footage and I will edit the video if that's what it takes.
Well, here's the thing. I do need to replay that game. I have very fond memories of it, despite it not really being a great game. A lot of the characters are like ugly as sin, and the combat is super breakable. Like, the game should not give you any challenge at all. But do I want to play Shadow? I want to. I got to find the time. The way you're phrasing this right now is making me think that this is perfect for my review show, because I review some games like Ultimate Fighter for the Super Nintendo. That game never got a positive review until I did one. And that's because I know this weird way to play that game that makes it really enjoyable. It's a side-scrolling beat 'em up that's not that great, but it has an RPG mode that's really enjoyable that not a lot of people think of because it's in the options menu of all places. So this is sounding right up my alley, a game that's not super good technically, but is a fun game in the end. So maybe I'll have to just like grind through this and play it. There's just a lot of interesting things in Shadow Madness. And if it inspires confidence at all, at one point in time, Squaresoft had money invested in it. And like Squaresoft, 1997 to 2000 some odd, they were the kings. So I don't know. They seen the potential there. There is a lot of potential in Shadow Madness. I made a video. I made a video of like 5 games that I want to see remastered, and Shadow Madness was one that I put on there. Not just remastered, actually like remade, full on remade. That game needed to hit its potential. If the moment you decide you want to replay it, and you can, just hit me up. Just send me a message. Be like, I'm going to replay Shadow Madness. I'll be like, I understand. I will also play Shadow Madness. I understand. Yeah, that's what you say. Like when somebody has to go to the hospital. That's like when somebody puts the bat signal out. It's like, it's time. God. Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, it might be a feat of heroism. I got to get through Artanelico 2 and 3 first, but I'm definitely going to keep that on the back burner. Do all the stuff you're going to do first. Not worried about the stupid idea that I have in the back of my head, but like, if push comes to shove and it happens, I'll make this happen. You don't understand. Like I will. Shadow Madness is not a good game, but the idea of playing it again kind of like fills me with joy. And that's the kind of thing that I'm looking for. So hopefully, maybe one day down the road we'll do this. I just hope that, or something else. I just hope that playing it fills me with as much joy as thinking about playing it. Anything else that you can think of that you want to do videos on, but you just Suikoden and Shadow Hearts are definitely the biggest ones. I'm really interested to see what you say about Suikoden because I own the first one physically. I also bought it digitally because I'm like, well, I kind of don't want to play my physical copy now because it cost me so much money and I know it's worth so much. So, and I have all of them digitally that you can get on the PlayStation the store. Series peaked. So it peaked at 2, most definitely, and 2 is like a masterpiece. Like, I think towards the end of 3 or 4, the head writer, like games director, left, and they kind of got a little. They just weren't. They never hit 2 again. That's all. Like, it's not a bad series, but they shouldn't have continued after that guy left because they did not know what they were doing. So I would want to play at least Suikoden 1, 2, 3, and maybe 4 again. The rest, not so much. But I don't know. My channel has a lot of holes in it, and with RPGs, you spend all this time playing one of them, and by the time you're done, 3 more have come out. Yep. Essentially, yep. You're right. I'd love to cover nostalgia, like on the DS too. I might have mentioned it in a video once, but it's just this kind of classic RPG that just flew under the radar. Oh, speaking of RPGs that flew under the radar, I recently, again with JJ Games closing, a lot of their games went on sale for like stupid prices. I recently got from them Paladin's Quest for SNES, and I want to play through it because I've seen people talk about it, but there's not much out there about it. There's like, and I think, what was it? The Ultra Healthy Video Game Nerd, he did a game from that same series. He specializes in like Japanese games because he lives in Japan and that's his whole niche.
And he talked about a game that's in that same series or related to it, and it reminded me that I have this game that I can play, but I was still waiting for it to come in from shipping and whatnot. So that's one I might actually do myself, that I've thought of it now. Have you heard of Paladin's Quest before?
I'm picturing something in my head that does not look very good at all. Like, I'm picturing what I think the graphics of Paladin's Quest look like, and I might be thinking of an entirely different game. It's not.
It's like an action RPG. It's weird.
Okay, it's not one of those games that use like actual, like, it's not. The graphics aren't like old Mortal Kombat, where it's pictures of real people, right?
No.
Okay, thank God. I'm picturing the wrong thing.
It sounds like you're thinking of Virtual Highlight over there. Like
the thing I'm thinking of looks like Virtual Highlight, that's for sure. But no, I might be thinking of something on the Genesis anyway.
Oh God!
Oh, you want to hear?
You're not thinking of Sword of Sodan.
I don't know. I can't think of the name at all. I just picture like 4 characters walking down a dirt road with grass on either side of them. Is super ugly picture. You want to know some shockingly missing holes on my friggin' channel? I don't think I've ever covered Persona or Dragon Quest, like a game. I've mentioned them before, but I've never reviewed a single game in either series.
Well, the Royal's out. You could clock 700 hours into that and you want it if you really want to.
I could also not. That's the thing.
Well, I and Persona 5, I have it. I bought the Greatest Hits version. It's one of the few games on the PS4 that I like the Greatest Hits box because it's red and it matches the aesthetic of the game.
Yeah, it fits the cover.
Also, funny story, I bought that game 3 times, and the first 2 times were for other people, so... And there were also different versions of the game, so... but, like, after watching people stream, like, Royal right now, and seeing how long the first dungeon takes, I'm like, that's like a whole game there for me. Like... Yeah, I don't think I can do that. Like, I like this game. Like, I've played a little bit of it. I enjoy it, but holy crap. That's a big game.
When it comes to RPGs, like... Actually, when it comes to YouTube in general, you can either review a game when it's, like, brand new and it'll get traction, or you can review it long after people have finished talking about it and it'll get traction.
That's usually what I end up doing.
Persona 5, for me, I've always felt like it's in that weird middle area where nobody's going to watch a new video on it. So I just never felt like it was a good time to put one out.
People will watch it. It's the same idea with like you said, with the Trails fans. Like, Persona fans are crazy. They'll watch anything with Persona.
I wonder if...
They want to see what your perspective is.
I want to say, like, if I covered Persona 4 right now, or especially, like, 4 Golden, because then you hit the Vita crowd as well, people will watch that. With Persona 5, I don't know. That's the popular one. It's like they're a dime a dozen.
I still think you would get a decent viewership on it, and people would want to see what you think of it. I mean, like I said, somebody in my Discord server wanted to know if you were going to cover Final Fantasy VII Remake. Probably, like, the most, like, popular of popular RPGs out there. Like, that would be sort of totally not in your regular realm of stuff to cover.
Yeah.
But
honestly, like, the most...
People still want to know what you think.
Like, the most popular JRPGs I cover are the Tales series. And we haven't had one of those in, like, 2 years.
I'm glad it slowed down, though, because they were pumping those out like crazy before, and I was having a hard time keeping up. Like,
yeah, it was nearly yearly.
What was the one that they made a sequel to that I really liked? Tales of... It was on the PS3. Which I know doesn't narrow it down, but...
Xillia
2, that was the one. I bought the strategy guide for that, and I bought the game, and I ended up really liking it, but another case of I never finished it. So, at least I have the strategy guide, so if I want to finish it, I'll be okay, but...
I don't think...
Yeah, it's one of those ones.
I don't think we've got a Tales of game that was designed for something that wasn't the PlayStation 3 yet. That's how long they've kind of been out of commission. Tales of Berseria and Zestiria, the 2 that came out on PS4, were designed for the PlayStation 3, and like now that the PlayStation 4 is almost run its course, we're finally getting an engine for the PlayStation 4.
Yeah.
And then all those PlayStation 4, like, all the next Tales games that they make on that engine are probably going to be on the PlayStation 5. So Tales, they're always going to be a generation behind.
And the thing, too, is, like, I think just going back to my buddy's retrospective, Blanca Gamers, he said that currently his cutoff game is Asteria. Like, that's the cutoff one for the retrospective.
No.
He's like, if I catch up, he's like, by then, if I eventually catch up to it, it won't be a retrospective anymore. So it's like, so I have to cut off somewhere. These are long RPGs.
All right, look, by the time that's out, Tales of Arise will already be out, so he's got to finish at least at Berseria. Zestiria is such a bad Tales game. It would be awful to end the video on that one.
Well, Blondie, if you're listening, you can't stop at Zestiria, says Tark. He's telling you not to.
You can't stop at... You'll want to stop at Zestiria. You'll want to stop at Zestiria halfway through the game. It's not very good. But
the funny thing about this retrospective is when he started it, he'd only played through Symphonia. So he had been collecting these games and he'd only finished Symphonia. So he's actually discovering these games a lot of the times for the first time. Like, he's played them, like, to test them and, you know, probably played a good chunk of them and then, like, went on to other games. But, like, this is the first time, except for Symphonia, that he's completing each game and talking about stuff. And he's going for as close to 100% as you can go. So he's being thorough. And that's why another interesting perspective, because it sounds like you're very familiar with the games. He kind of is, but he's only familiar with them on the surface level, I guess you could say. I might be underselling it. He might be like, come to me later and be like, I know them more than what you said.
I mean,
in that podcast.
He's going to be an expert by the time he's done. He'll know more than I know.
Yeah. Yeah. But he's like, that's the whole, one of the reasons he did the whole retrospective is because he likes what he's played of every game and he wants to complete all of them, so he wants to give the perspective and of course be thorough with them. Yeah. So
he is hitting Fantasia on the Game Boy next, so that might change.
Yeah.
Well, best of luck.
Yeah, he knows it's not the best version, but it's, you know, we'll see what happens. But
I trust in his resolve. He'll finish it anyway. He's in this deep.
Yeah, exactly. You've got that Tales fan vibe with him, I guess, now.
Yeah. And you know what? The story in Fantasia is actually, like, the adventure is fantastic, so it'll probably keep him engaged anyway, even past all the crappy new sound effects and voiceovers, the shrunk screen, the lagged controls, the god-awful official translation.
You know what's funny? Like, I know dumb things from watching his, like, retrospective videos. When he did the one on Destiny, he highlighted some of the, like, English, like, attack names. So every so often, like, I'll reference, like the English name for Stonewall is just say Stonewally.
Yeah. Destiny was wild, man. Like, nowadays when people localize a game, if you shove in, like, a pop culture reference that wasn't in the original, people are going to find it, and they are going to scream from the tallest tower about how localizers didn't do their job right. That is all over Destiny. Like, in one of the first towns, you talk to this girl in this pub, just a random NPC, and she's talking about, and I quote, this way cute actor, Leon Di Carpaccio. That's always stuck with me.
Isn't there also... There's like a quiz in Destiny that references characters from Fantasia, but at that point, the game wasn't out for us, so there's no way you could have gotten the answers correct.
That might have been in Destiny 2. There's like this big, like 40 question quiz, and if you get all the questions right, you can unlock I think it's 2 of the playable characters from Destiny 1.
Oh, and Destiny 2, doesn't it have the Colosseum? Where you fight previous characters from the other games.
I can't quite remember, but probably.
I'm trying to remember because, like, I think he mentioned that because I think you fight Stan is it Stan or Stan?
That's a good question because I never heard his name. I've never watched the Fantasia anime. I always just said Stan.
No, from Destiny, isn't it from Destiny? I can't.
The main character in Destiny was crap. Am I getting these mixed up? Fantasia has Kless or Cress, depending on how it's translated.
Yeah.
Destiny has Stan or Stan. I couldn't tell you.
There's an H in his name in a weird place. That's why I'm like, is it Stan? Like, I just don't.
No, that's they used to, like, the writing used to target a lot more like old literature, like old fantasy literature. So I'm guessing it's still just Stan. I don't know.
I don't know, but you know, like I mean, some of the translations, like one of the characters is like called Mighty Kong Man in like Destiny 2, but he's a different name, or Kong the Man or something. I can't remember.
Oh, it's been so long since I've played him now.
See, I only get my information from his videos,
like
from things I've read online.
I remember some of the most random crap, like that Leon Di Carpaccio thing. I probably played Destiny 1 like 10 years ago, and I remember that, but I can't tell you what all the characters' names are, or like, I probably can't remember what most of the locations look like at this point. I remember Fantasia a lot better, but that might have been because I played it when I was younger, and just, you know, some of your younger memories just leave bigger impressions.
Yeah, no, I feel you on that. So, okay, well, I guess my actual last question leads into the next segment, which is, what are you working on
for videos?
Yeah, videos, whatever.
Right now, Doom Eternal, which is something that really does not fit into the channel, but a few people are like, "Hey, I wouldn't mind hearing your opinion." And
I actually wouldn't mind hearing your opinion either on that. And this comes from someone who still needs to finish Doom 2016.
Doom 2016 was good. Like, it was really good. I actually really loved Doom 2016. Doom Eternal is like a whole other beast. It's crazy.
Rip and tear.
Boy, I don't think I've played anything as crazy as what Doom Eternal gets.
It's so funny because whenever I saw the trailers... Yeah, whenever I saw the trailers, I'm like, this doesn't look that different from Doom 2016. But now that I've watched people stream it and stuff, I'm like, holy shit! Like,
the entire gameplay meta has changed. But unless you know what you're looking for, you're not going to notice it. It's crazy. But then, like, the action too is so much faster. There's more versatility. Like, your weapon choices matter more. I don't know, man. It's wild. So
I didn't think a twitchy shooter like that could get more twitchy, but like it like just watching people play Doom Eternal, I'm like, holy shit! Like
it raised the bar, man. It absolutely raised the bar on the genre.
It's the same way I currently feel. Like, I just started playing Resident Evil 3 Remake, but like I just finished Resident Evil 2 Remake, and it's just like, it's insane, like how cranked up to 11 things are in 3 compared to 2. Like, how much shit there is to do.
Yeah.
Like, and how you're constantly on, like, guard because you're in the thick of the whole zombie thing. So, anyways, I interrupted you. What other stuff are you working on? Is it mostly Doom Eternal, or?
Doom Eternal right now, because I didn't have any other videos planned, but in the background of, like, everything else that I've been playing and doing, I'm trying to get through the Artanelico games, like 1, 2, and 3. Because I want to make a single video for the Artanelico trilogy.
Okay.
But, you know, playing 3 RPGs for one video is an undertaking.
I understand.
I think I started Artanelico 1 2 months ago, and I can only play these games part-time because I have other stuff, right? Mm-hmm. I'm, like, maybe over halfway through Artanelico 2 now, and then the third one I hear is a nightmare. So, like, I hear 3 is a very bad game. I doubt I'm going to feel that way, but we'll see.
We'll see. It's one of those things where I think you and I have the same vibe, that we don't always agree with the masses on stuff, but sometimes we do.
No, I feel like what's going to happen with 3, and like, I haven't played it, so, you know, grain of salt. The combat's probably going to be trash. From what I understand, it was radically changed. Maybe trash is harsh. It's probably going to be super mediocre. But I expect, at the very least, the characters and the story are still going to be good. And that, for me, will at least be enough to say that it might be worth playing. But we're going to see.
Yeah.
Fingers crossed. I'm trying to be optimistic. So those are the two big things. Those are the two big things.
Cool. Well, I'll take this moment to talk about what I'm working on as well, just to update everybody. Of course, I did recently release that parody review. I brought back The Nerdy Angry Gamer after 10 years, which is a parody on another game reviewer, which I won't talk about here, but that's the joke. So that's out. Doing a contest with it. I'm giving away Double Dragon Trilogy, so just look in the description for that if you want to know about that. What I'm currently working on, though, I received a review copy of a new NES game that I'm playing through, but the video probably won't come out until close to when the game launches, because it comes out in June, and they gave me this review copy like at the start of March, so I have a lot of time to go through it. I talked about my top 10 games or not 10, 20, because I couldn't limit it down to 10 of the last decade. So I'm almost done writing that video. I got like a ton of writing on it done last night, and hoping to get the rest of it done. I'm on the last 5 games, the top 5 of that 20 list, so this is the hardest part to write. So hopefully it'll come out soon. And then I'm doing a crossover with a friend of mine on a more obscure Mega Man game. That's all I'm going to say for now. But I had to purchase it's so obscure that I had to purchase the Mega Man Official Complete Works to get background information on the game and history, because it's not available anywhere online. I actually talked to Proto Dude and asked him if he knew anything about these games. He's like, outside the Official Complete Works, no. I'm like, all right, guess I'm buying a book. So I'm doing research for that right now. So that will come out eventually. And then just general whatever stuff that I work on. But yeah, to end things off, Tark, where can people find you?
YouTube, I guess. Just type Tark's Gauntlet in, you'll probably find the channel. Twitter as well, just at Tark's Gauntlet. I don't really use Facebook, so I guess that's about it. I'm not really out there too much.
Even though every time I promote one of your videos, I at you on there anyways.
I might not have seen the last few times that's happened. I'm never there. I do have I have one question for you before we go. In your in your top 20 games of the last decade, how many Strand type games you got?
I don't know how many Strand type games I do have. My favorite Strand type game is Snake's Revenge.
Oh, of course.
I still don't know what a Strand type game is.
Well, Snake's Revenge, you got that one.
Well, apparently my video on for April Fool's Day was a Strand type video. That was a
Strand type video, yeah. I give it,
which makes me sort of understand what it is.
I give it 10 strands out of 10. Which, don't let that get to your head. That's not a high score. All right, that's all I got. I'm not really anywhere else on the internet.
God, I hope Sony buys Silent Hills and Kojima finishes that.
You and me both, buddy.
That would be nice, because I don't want to say this to anybody who really likes Death Stranding, but seeing that Silent Hills was going to be a thing and getting that instead with the same people is I would have preferred Silent Hills.
I like Death Stranding. What they were working on with Silent Hills looked better.
Yeah. I'm trying not to hand the game because I haven't played it, but it does not look like a game I would enjoy very much.
And that's super fair. And if it doesn't look like it, you probably won't. It's probably a safe bet.
I also feel like it wasn't fair, because I feel like I was the one contrarian with anybody I talked to about that, who's like, the more I see about this game when they did previews for the last few years before it came out, I'm like, the more I see on this, the more it doesn't look that good.
And
I guess I was half right.
It's divisive for a reason.
Yeah,
it's like it's like the new Deadly Premonition. Deadly Premonition used to hold a Guinness World Record for the most polarizing reviews.
Yeah, no, you're right.
Death Stranding's probably got a beat by now.
It's weird, because I know I'm going back into another topic, but for me, the Kojima games I like are the original Metal Gear, Metal Gear 2 Solid Snake, Police Nuts, and Snatcher. Those are the games of his I really like. I never was into the Metal Gear Solids.
Yeah, you don't like the main MGS series, huh?
Well, it's not that I don't like them, it's just I have no interest in them, and I do want to play them at some point, and I own all of them. Except 5, but that's a whole nother thing.
The first 3, at least, I think are quite brilliant. Although I don't really like playing the third one, but it has probably the strongest story and characters. That makes much sense.
To me, Metal Gear has always been the peak to me was always Metal Gear 2. I think personally that's the one that I feel like is the best because it just good story, like good twists and turns. You could kind of see like Kojima flexing his story muscle more in that game.
Yeah, and that's something he tried too hard to do in Death Stranding.
Mm-hmm. Like and that's why like games like Police Knots, for example, which is a fantastic game that I also need to finish.
I love the style of that game anyway.
It's really good. I really like the way it does it, and that's why I'm like, man, I wish it was a lot easier to get a hold of. like I have a modded PS1 so I can play the translation patch anytime I want, but I really should own a physical copy of it before I, play through the entire thing on a less than legit copy.
I mean, yeah, when you're rich and famous, by all means, go buy a copy.
Yeah, I've been doing this YouTube thing for since 2006, and I've managed to not even get 2,000 subs, so I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon. I have a bet with my buddy that, my buddy CJ, and I know I'm supposed to be ending, but I'm going to just say this here. He owns a CDI. He got it repaired because they have a lifetime warranty if you own one, so he had it repaired. First game we played together on it was Zelda Wand of Gamelon, and after he finished it, he said, if you reach 100,000 subscribers, I will play Link of the Faces of Evil, but not until you hit that many subscribers. I'm like, well, that's never going to happen, so I guess that's why we're never playing.
It can take time, man. Like my channel's not exactly big, but I have no idea how or when or why my channel started growing at all.
Honestly, it's kind of crazy with just the stuff that you cover. It seems like it wouldn't be like something that people would be searching out, but no, I just look at the stuff and I'm like, well, you're more consistent than I am too. Like you post way more consistently than I do. I post a review maybe once or twice a month, and I see you going at it a lot harder than I am.
I don't know. My last review, before Disaster Report was Super Neptunia RPG, and I feel like that was probably this time last month, maybe. So I've slowed down, that's for sure. But I don't know what happened with my channel. Somebody asked me once how you make your channel grow, like for like one of the Q&As I done, and I'm like, I don't make my channel grow. I don't do anything, man. I stay in my lane and I do what I'm doing, and what happens.
When you find out the secret sauce, you gotta let me know, though.
Well, I'm hoping somebody will tell me what it is.
But anyways, guys, you know where to find me. Zeromaster fan page on Facebook, as Zeromaster on Twitter. If you want to support this podcast, get early access to videos, behind-the-scenes extras, and so much more, patreon.com/Zeromaster is a good place to do it. And I stream on Twitch 3 times a week on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Sundays at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time on twitch.tv/Zeromaster. Tark, it's been fantastic to have you on the podcast. Thank you very much for coming on. I'm sorry that I took so long to book this with you. Life was a thing, so
hey.
Sorry about that.
Life finds a way.
And then it ends up as a baby in a whatever that goop is in Death Stranding.
All right, it was good to be here, dude.
Yes, it was nice to be here. And guys, definitely go check him out. He's got some great videos. Much better at this gaming review thing than I am. I'm happy to admit, but it was a blast. I'm glad that we finally got to sit down and talk, and hopefully this won't be the last time. Hopefully there'll be another time where we can sit down and shoot the shit like this. So thanks again for coming on, and guys, definitely go check him out. For this episode of the 100 Base Podcast, episode 40, I'm Zeromaster, and I was joined by
Tark's Gauntlet.
All right, take care, everybody. See you later.